Here's my first question.
Well, let's explain what we're talking about here,
Steve,
first of
God damn
all.
it.
There is a show that is called Making a Murderer, and people have been talking about this. I started hearing about it maybe a month or so ago because people started texting and tweeting and saying, guys, you're going to watch this show, Making a Murderer. And I'm like, oh, I've heard that about everything from Dexter to Game of Thrones to The Wire to House of Cards. So after a while, you kind of go, I'll keep my eye open for it. But then I started hearing more and more about it. People going, oh my God, this show is so good. And it's a real show. It's a documentary. So on Saturday, we're home from Christmas, and we're staying home. What do we want to do? And we started watching The Man in the High Tower, and that got kind of boring and weird. So we said, let's watch Making a Murderer. And so after 2 episodes, I'll watch the third one. I can't say it's the best thing ever, but it's basically about a guy who's in Wisconsin, and he's being accused of murdering someone. He just got out of prison for 18 years after being falsely accused of raping someone. I guess the 2 weird things about that one is the DNA exonerated him. Number 2, the sheriffs and the prosecutor kind of knew that he wasn't the guy, but they went after him anyway.
They didn't like his family. His family's kind of, they have like a lower IQ. They're kind of like not what you would consider like the classy family. They own like
run a junkyard,
car,
like a salvage
car
yard.
junkyard.
Yep.
So people don't like their family. And he had prior
like burglary
kind of
nuisance kind of crime.
But he always admitted it, though.
He did.
He always took responsibility for,
And
the thing with the cat.
Time, yeah.
But but here's one thing that was gross and creepy that I thought I've heard that cruelty to animals is a symptom or a precursor of somebody who's going to be violent toward women. And cruelty to animals,
Like a psychopath.
He threw a cat in a fire.
Yeah.
It's terrible. When Susan and I saw that on TV, we're holding our new little kitten Roger on our lap, and he's talking about how, I might have thrown a cat in a fire. Nobody I've ever known or hung out with has ever thrown a cat in a fire. That's extremely sick. Mm-hmm. So the guy there's something wrong there.
Well, he has like a 70 IQ, which
he's got an IQ of 70.
What's the average IQ? What do you think?
I don't know, 110, 120.
Okay.
Maybe.
So, that was the whole thing with me. I was like, okay, this guy's a little slow. I definitely think that, the town, it was lots of, small town stuff. Because I was talking with my mother-in-law who lives in a small town, and it's like everyone knows the Murphy family and their small town. And it's like, they're kind of shady. They get in trouble for stupid petty crimes, but they've never done anything like rape and now murder.
Well, so this guy goes to prison, and it was really interesting because he said, I've been in for 18 years. They keep telling me that if I'll just confess that I did it, they'll let me out today. And he said, I am not going to confess that I did it because I did not do it. As it turns out, the DNA finally showed he was right. He was not lying. He did not do it. So is he
doing the right thing for that? Because that's something where I say, you can say now that he did the right thing because he really didn't do it.
Yeah, right.
But there's plenty of people that, they're saying that, committed murder that admitted it so then they could basically get out.
So murderers could get out because they would admit that they did it, but he would admit it. So anyway, what happens is now that's all in the past. He's out of jail, and a certain amount of time goes by, and this young woman, 25 or so, she's a photographer. She's taken pictures for Auto Trader magazine. She comes to their salvage yard to take pictures of a car, and she never returns. So now there's a big, massive manhunt.
Yes, and he was the last person that they know of that saw her. And the big deal, too, you should know, is obviously since he had that mistrial and there were all these stories that came out where people tried to tip off police saying you have the wrong guy and they just ignored it, he was suing the police of the city to basically be reimbursed for this time he lost in his life. And actually, all these officers and officials were going through depositions, and right when this happened, and so it was kind of like a 3-week process of when they were going through depositions to where this woman goes missing. And so he gets arrested for this because they find her
body
They found the vehicle.
Yeah, the vehicle on the property.
They found his vehicle, which the reasoning that's weird is because they had a search crews go out looking. They go to the salvage yard. They find it hidden weird, like someone put like a tree branch on it. And their point, which was very good, is Stephen Avery had 2 days before she even was listed as missing. And how many days until the search parties came to their salvage yard. And he's someone who works there and knows how to destroy vehicles. You know what I mean? Like, he knows how to use that machinery. So they're saying if he had done this, he would have destroyed that car and gotten rid of it. He wouldn't have just hit it on their land with a tree branch over it. So that was the first, like, piece of evidence they found, and then the first piece on his case saying this isn't something he would do.
And then they found her car keys in his bedroom, which... Isn't that true?
Yeah, no, you're right.
But it's days later.
It's days later, and they
had
already
already done a deep search and didn't find anything.
And then the local police department goes through and they move
the one that he's suing.
Yeah, the one that he's suing moves a boot, and they find her car key.
Yeah.
Remember, these are people that promised that they wouldn't be involved in the investigation because of the lawsuit and everything.
Yeah,
but somehow
they were supposed to bring in
involved.
Different counties' police to do this whole, because it would be unfair.
Are there good comments people comment?
What are people saying? Because I've only watched 2 episodes, so I don't really know a whole lot about it.
Yeah, we won't get into the whole thing because it would take 4 million years.
Yeah, there are a lot of people saying that there's a lot of evidence that, like the DA and all the people that were, like the prosecutor, like did a lot of interviews. Kara Levin has a good article apparently that talks about evidence that wasn't presented in the documentary.
Yeah, some of the evidence that wasn't was things like he had handcuffs and leg shackles that he said it was for sex toys for him and his wife. Also, there's another thing where she didn't have a restraining order, but she had told multiple people or told her bosses that she didn't feel comfortable going to that guy's house because he would say things to her.
Yeah, they alluded to that a little bit,
Yeah, they allude to it, I think, in the show.
Because, they talked about her boss saying...
But here's my 2 things. First, I think the nephew, his involvement, that's a disaster to me. And I know you haven't seen it. I don't think he was involved at all. And Dave, when you watched it, they show the video of them questioning his nephew, who they now say is involved. And to me, if I had a 16-year-old, even if he was guilty, don't get me wrong, I would want to be sitting there for him to admit that he's guilty. But how they question him is the weirdest.
Without a lawyer present, without an adult present,
without his mom.
They guide him. They put things in his.
And he's got the lowest of low IQs anyway.
He's
so easily manipulated.
Okay.
He doesn't get that he's being questioned, and he goes, "Hey, I gotta get to 6th hour so I can drop off a project." It's like you're being questioned for a murder right now.
Yeah.
But my thing is too, the documentary, the main thing that's coming from it is everyone's so frustrated, they're so annoyed because of it's one of those things where you hit your head against the wall. Number one, I think you get annoyed when they're on trial and the people they're not saying what they should say on the stand, like the people that are actually the Brendan, the nephew, because he's not getting the words out. You're like, just say this, and it's very frustrating.
Because he's slow.
Yeah, he doesn't know how. Yeah.
But I'll just say this. I don't think that they're innocent. I think that the documentary it's a case I know nothing about. I'm not from this area, so I don't know about this story at all. So it was really new to me. I didn't even know how it ended. I didn't even know if he was in jail at the end or not, or prison. And I don't think he's innocent. The documentary is skewed to make you think that he's innocent.
And that's what I was going to say, is that having not watched the whole thing, does it skew? Do they show favoritism? It makes it look it look like he is innocent?
Yeah. Well, they make it look like it's really shady, and that the police they never make it seem like the police killed that woman. But what they make it seem like is someone killed her, and they took this as an opportunity. They found her in her car. Yep. They took this as an opportunity to frame him. Because they never find any DNA evidence, any physical evidence, DNA evidence in his trailer ever.
Okay.
The only thing they find ever is the vehicle on their land and her bones, and some of her bones and teeth in 3 different fire areas. Okay. Well, but they said they could transfer those and put them in their fire areas.
The thing about a conspiracy like that is the entire...
Oh, and blood in the car, sorry.
Everybody involved in covering it up and framing him would have to agree that, yes, we're going to do this. We're going to cover it up in front. You guys all agree with that? I mean, you couldn't get the 3 of us to agree on something like that. But
you could.
So, but they had to get everybody to agree, and then also all one of those people would have to do to blow the lid off the whole thing is to go to the authorities and say, yep, we did it. We were all involved in it, or I know who did it. So I don't think that there is a conspiracy. I don't think that the cops would do something like that.
Or their stupidity.
Well,
I think that's what it is.
The cops wouldn't do that. But in their theory, isn't it only 2 or 3 men that they think really did it? And other people were kept in the dark.
I don't even
because
think
the lawyers found like his blood sample from like the very first time he was in jail, and it showed like a needle hole in it, like someone had pulled blood out of it.
Yeah.
And no one's supposed to do that or touch it, and that's where they think they got the blood samples in the car. But there wasn't DNA evidence to prove that it was pulled and not dripped from like your body.
You can't tell like when
they
it's
don't
from.
have testing for that.
Well, let's do this because we could go on for a long time.
10 years.
Is do this. Send us an email with what you think to ryanshow@kdwb.com.
Like your theory, or
well, I mean, theory or question or point or whatever, and keep it short because if we get a really long email, we really can't read the whole thing. So keep it like to one paragraph if you can. Send it to ryanshow@kdwb.com, and then later on this week we'll do another Periscope, and we'll read some of the emails that you sent.
This is really cool too. You may not realize this, and Steve and I didn't even realize it until it was pointed out to us, but Elizabeth, the co-host on Twin Cities Live, she is in the documentary. She's one of the reporters, because they show reporters all throughout, and she's in there multiple times. We're like, oh, that's so cool. Mm-hmm. So Dave messaged her, and she's going to be on with us.
Show tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning at 6:45. So we'll talk to her and see what she has to say about it.
She probably has a better perspective, like a more even, I'm assuming, because she was there.
Yeah,
probably
she did a report on it, yeah.
Anyway, if you watch it, if you don't watch it, I'm sure you're no longer watching this Periscope because you'd be bored out of your head. But if you do watch it, then, come back later on this week because we'll talk about it again. And send an email to ryanshow@kdwb.com and just put... I don't know, anything like
murder theory.
Murder theory.
Avery case.
Avery, whatever in the subject line, so we'll know what it is. Thanks for watching.